Good day, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the channel, Natural LID. I am Danny. I am a social worker and an aromatherapist, and I enjoy sharing information to enhance our overall quality of life and well-being. So today we have a very special guest, a very dear friend of mine, and she's going to be sharing with us. We're going to be talking about in this series, well-being and wealth. Okay. And you might have seen my first video when I talked about well-being and wealth. So I'll leave a link to that video in the description. So this is the second in the series of well-being and wealth. And on this channel, as I share with you, I like to share information to enhance our overall quality of life and well-being. And what better way to share this information we have for you today? So welcome, Valerie.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to share a little bit about your background so they know what we're talking about today, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So Valerie Southhall is the proud owner of Southall Agency located in Flint, Michigan, with over 3 decades of experience in the insurance industry. Valerie is committed to providing her clients with exceptional service and education on their insurance options. She first obtained her life and health insurance license in 1985 and has since expanded her knowledge and expertise in the field. Valerie is passionate about helping her community make informed decisions about their finances and protecting what matters most to them. As the mission statement of the Southall Agency states, they are dedicated to empowering and educating the community by providing high quality insurance services and financial education. Through personalized solutions and exceptional customer service, Valerie and her team strive to make a positive impact on the lives of those they serve. Valerie is an active member of the community and is involved in various charitable organizations. She believes in giving back and making a difference in the lives of others. When she is not working, Valerie enjoys spending time with her family and exploring the beautiful city of Flint. So again, welcome, Valerie.
Thank you.
Oh, what wonderful bio. And so we're going to get right into our questions. So
Okay.
the first questions I have for you is, you have your own agency, as I mentioned, okay? The Southall Agency. Tell us why you became an insurance agent.
I first became an insurance agent in 1985 because I actually sat down with another agency owner from a different company than where I am now, and they actually explained to me the way money worked, and nobody ever explained that to me. Nobody ever explained to me compound interest, the rule of 72, the, or the different types of insurance. I'd always heard like everybody says insurance. Well, what type? There are different types of insurance. You got whole life, which you will pay for your whole life, but it also has some savings in there, and you can take different types of loans from that. And then also you've got term insurance, which is insurance just for a certain amount of time to cover something. Like say you have a mortgage that you just got, and if anything happened to you suddenly, and you didn't want your family, taken out of the house, right? You would have enough insurance to cover that mortgage, not credit life insurance, because the bank would want you to do that, because then the bank would get that money. But the term insurance, your beneficiary would get that money.
Okay.
And then they can do what they want with that. But it's their decision, not somebody else's decision.
Wow.
And so I had never known that. So that to me was like, how come everybody doesn't know this? And the more people I talked to, the more people I realized did not know this. So I became very passionate about it, because I'm going to let you ask me another question, because I can go on all day about different types.
It's wonderful. Absolutely. So thank you. So this leads right into our next question. Share your insights about insurance.
Okay, so insurance is like, to me, insurance is a way of being able to pass on generational wealth, number one. Number two, it is also another way of, if you say you own a business and you want that business to pass on, or to keep going after your demise or after your death, then insurance is a way of doing that. It gives your company the amount of capital that it needs to keep going until they can make it through that transition. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Number three, um, that's just dealing with life insurance. Also, though, insurance is, you also have critical illness insurance, you have long-term care insurance. You say you don't die, okay, which hopefully you don't,
Mhm.
but you need some long-term care insurance. The older you get, the more expensive things are. And Medicare only pays for so much. Okay. And then there are also some life insurance policies that have a what they call an accelerated death benefit. That means, say you were diagnosed with a certain illness, right? And it's a diagnosis, and you're going to live a certain amount of time. A certain part of that death benefit can be used then, can be taken and used for you in order to be taken care of until the time that you do pass away, to help with hospice and that kind of thing. Um, just a brief insight into that. When my father just recently passed away, and when we were dealing with caregivers during hospice, the average uh, caregiver, not the hospice, but the actual, they call them CNAs, medical caretakers that would come in and take care, cost $672 a day.
Wow. A day.
So a
Out of
day.
pocket. Out of
Out
pocket.
of pocket, out of pocket. So, if you've got that accelerated death benefit, then you've got some money to be able to take care of that.
Okay.
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 Of course, I love my dad, so I took care of him most of the time. But every once in a while, I needed a day where I had to go. I had a doctor's appointment. I needed to do some things,
Right.
and $672 a day.
It's
Yeah,
nothing to sneeze at for the average
that's
person.
not for the average person.
Absolutely. Wow. Wow. So thank you for sharing that, and our condolences, for your recent loss. And that leads me to the next question. Why is it important for our community, particularly, to think about this topic of insurance? I know sometimes it can seem morbid and people might not want to think long term and put it off. It's like, well, I'll let somebody else deal with it, after I pass away or something. But why is it important for our community to think about this topic?
Our community, especially if you're talking about the African American community,
Yes.
um, because in America, 60% of most Americans have some type of life insurance.
Okay.
Um, 90% of people believe that they need it. 60% of the people have it, and that's America as a whole. But
Okay.
in the African American community, only 57% of the African American community has some type of life insurance. Okay, so we're less than the national average, and then also because of our racial health disparities.
Okay.
Um, you know, African American people get sicker earlier. And so the sicker you are, the less likely you are to get insurance. So the earliest you can get insurance, the better. So that's really, really important in our community. Um, I'm going to say that, well, I'll just tell you, in America, the average uh, funeral cost is $9,000. I can tell you, truth,
Right.
just
Right.
went through it. Um, and so a lot of times, if the person has passed away, and you let somebody else take care of it. I don't know how many people actually have an extra $9,000 to come out of pocket unexpectedly. Okay.
Right. Right.
I'm about to do my rant here. Give me 10 seconds to do my 10-second rant.
Okay. Okay.
People spend more money on planning their vacation than they do planning their financial health.
Mm.
Okay. And that is not fair to your family who is trying to grieve. And then you end up with a GoFundMe, but you can go, I'm looking on Facebook, and you're taking all wonderful kind of vacations, buying all different kind of cars, doing all these different things, and but you won't spend 50 or $100 a month to make sure that your family is taken care of, that their needs are taken care of. Shame on you. I'm sorry. That's my rant. I'm gonna be nice now. I'm gonna get off my rant, but shame on you, because I'm going to tell you, when people pass away, your family, your loved ones are in deep grief. And for a spouse to be in deep grief and then also worrying about whether or not they're going to be put out of their home because of lack of planning, that's not right.
Right.
Okay. I could go.
No, but thank you for sharing. And, I could also share in that sentiment, having to lost a loved one in 2021. And it was a true blessing for us as a family. We didn't have to do anything. Everything was paid for, everything was planned, everything was done. And all we had to do is walk in with the documentation and
Mhm.
leave out. Nothing to decide, nothing to do except for to show up. And so that helps with the grieving process when you don't have to make all these decisions and figure out financially or wait on insurance, all of that to actually um,
Yeah, a brief, a
have a
brief,
service for your loved one.
yeah, a brief thing with that. It was like going back to the $9,000. It was $5,000 before we even sat down to make decisions. I mean, it was, almost 900 and some odd dollars to take the body from the house to the mortuary. Then the payment for the embalming. Then, um the what do they call it, the staff something. This basically the cost for the staff to even attend you, to even sit down and talk to you. That was $2,500. So before we even we it was $5,000 before we even sat down to decide what kind of casket, where we gonna be buried. Well, that's another thing. We have a family plot, so we our in our family, our graves are paid for. Those things have already been handled. But if you don't, you know, it costs even more because it's last minute.
Mm.
So those are the kind of things that, take some time, people. Just take some time, sit down with the professional, and just talk it out and see what needs to be done. Because Daniel, I like yours. Your scenario is the best scenario. I mean, our scenario was good because we could do that. But I mean, write a check, but your scenario is even better because that loved one had already decided what they wanted and how they wanted it and how they wanted it to go. Like you said, you just walked in with the documentation and it was taken care of.
Right, right, right. And I thank you for sharing that. And I share that too, because also it being Financial Literacy Month, April
Mhm.
2023, for all of those of you who are watching in the future, this being Financial Literacy Month, these are sort of things that you can help to incorporate into your financial well-being. Insurance is one modality, another piece to the pie of the puzzle, if you will, to having you can also leave wealth to family, and it's also, like she mentioned, your financial well-being, and not have to struggle to make those decisions when they come up unexpectedly or you aren't planning ahead for them. Okay. So I thank you for sharing that, which leads me into my next question. Um, Insurance can be a tool to leverage expenses in the future, like you mentioned, like long-term care. You talked about that, and chronic illness. Can you expand upon that just a little bit more? You mentioned about um, leverage the expenses, maybe long-term care, and what can it do for you for long-term care? If you have a chronic illness and you need to pull out of it, what does that mean? Because I know
Yeah,
that you go ahead.
yeah, they have
Mhm.
certain, yeah, you have certain different types. You got some chronic illness policies that pay for just chronic illnesses like heart disease, cancer policies, those kind of things. And they really, don't cost that much the younger that you are. You get them before you get them in case. It's kind of like your car insurance. You have your car insurance, you're not planning on using the car insurance, but just in case you have that accident, it's a good thing to have.
Mhm.
um Long-term care, um or even disability. You have some disability policies that you might be more likely to become disabled, maybe short term, maybe not for long term, but even having those policies. And you need to have your own. I know a lot of people say, well, I have mine at work. That's wonderful until you don't have work anymore. Then if you don't have work anymore and you happen to be older and you don't have work anymore, then that's going to cost you a lot more money. The Basically in insurance, the younger you are, the less expensive it is. And it's just better to have it that way. So, like I said, long term, you never know,
Mhm.
because the home care portion of long term care is very expensive. I did not expect $672 a day. You know,
Wow,
that
time. Yeah.
that will eat through people's savings really, really quickly.
In a matter of a week for some folks and 30 days, if you're fortunate.
Right. Unless you have, somebody at home who can do that, for you. And the way America is right now, everybody pretty much works. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock comes in the house, and most of the adults are on their way somewhere else to work for someone else.
Right, right. I thank you for sharing about that insurance with the job. And you're right, with the employer that I have, it's reduced down to less than 25% of the policy when you leave. So it's knowing that information before you leave the company, if they offer something beyond, you
Right.
know, once you retire or leave the job or something like that. So that's good information to know for those who did not know. Okay. Because some people may be thinking, oh, I have it on the job. I could take it with me when you leave. Not always. They
Not
may
always.
reduce it significantly when you leave. So it's something to be mindful of. So thank you for that. Which leads me to the types of insurance. And that people hear about temporary insurance and permanent insurance. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I spoke a little bit more about that in the beginning.
Mhm.
Permanent insurance is whole life insurance. And that's what it means. It's for your whole life, and you will be paying for it up for your whole life. But it also has a savings component within that. Um, and for some people, that's good because they're forced to save. And then if they need money out of that policy, which is it's called their cash values, they can go in and take a loan against their cash value and pull that money out. And then you can also pay that cash value back.
Okay.
If something happens and you die before you pay that cash value back,
Mhm.
then the amount of the loan that you took plus the interest that they charge is going to be deducted from that, what they call face amount, the death benefit of that policy.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Hmm.
That's permanent insurance. Term insurance is a death benefit for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
Sometimes 10 years, sometimes 20, sometimes as long as 30 years.
Hmm.
And in the beginning, I used the mortgage.
Hmm.
But say you have young children, and say, you just had that baby, and then you don't know what that baby might want to do. And so you know that if anything happens to you, that child still needs to be taken care of, right? So you can take out a 20-year term or a 30-year term, and for that time, during that time, you will have that death benefit.
Okay.
After that time, though, that insurance goes away. After that 30 years, after that 20 years, you don't have that insurance anymore. And you're going to have to and you're going to be 20 or 30 years older. So you're
Okay.
still going to have to go and find something else. Now, there's a school of thought, and I kind of believe in that school of thought. It's just that
Mhm.
I've only seen it work once in my life.
Okay.
Um, and that is you have really you really should have in the beginning a lot of insurance and a little bit of money. A lot of insurance and some a little bit of savings, right?
Okay.
And then as your savings grows and as you invest, right? When you have more money than you need in insurance, then that insurance can go away.
Mm.
Some people call it, a lot of people call it buy term and invest the difference. It's great. It's a great theory. And some people actually do it. I've only seen it happen once in my life. But if you could do it,
Mhm.
because term insurance is a lot, that temporary insurance, that
Yes.
term insurance is a lot less expensive. So for what it might cost you for 50,000, depending on age,
Okay.
say a 30-year-old
Okay.
person, $50,000 with a whole life insurance could buy for maybe $10 or $15 less a month, buy $250,000 worth of term insurance and
Mm.
use that extra $15 to put into an investment.
Okay. Okay.
And as that over time, as that money compounds month after month, year after year, that investment grows.
Right.
So it has well over 250, maybe has $300,000, right? A
Okay.
month. You got $300,000 worth of money, then you no longer need your $250,000 worth of insurance. Number one,
Oh,
you're older,
okay.
homes are paid off, you're not in as much debt, right?
Okay. Okay.
So at that particular point in time, your investments also have beneficiaries, your mutual funds and that kind of thing, you know, your investment portfolio should have a beneficiary. If it does not, get one. Figure out which one, figure out who you want to leave your money to, and make them the beneficiary.
Right.
Then that person can write the check and handle everything.
Gotcha.
So if you do that, then you're okay. What I found is, and I think it's because of lack of um, I'm gonna say financial illiteracy,
Okay.
that people will go ahead and take the cheaper term insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not invest that difference. Or they get a certain amount in that investment and go, oh, well, I want to do something crazy with it, you know, but you still you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
I
Uh-huh.
say, I say if you're going to do that, if you're going to hit into your investment at that particular point in time, and over a period of time you have um, reduced your debt,
Right.
paid off some things, then get a lower amount of term,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But you as long as you have enough money to handle everything,
Mm-hmm.
then if you have money to write a check, then you don't need insurance. But if you don't have the money to write the check, you need your insurance.
Okay. That's a
That's
good way of putting it. That's a real simple, straight to the point fact. Yes, yes. Thank you for putting it that way. Awesome. So, which leads me to the next question. At what age should we be considering obtaining insurance for ourselves or children? You touched on that. So it sounds like you're suggesting the younger, the better. And the
Mhm.
reason being, you named a couple of reasons. It's cheaper. Is there outside of that? What is the
Yeah,
other?
because insurance companies, they do like to take your premium. They don't really like to pay out a premium, right? So the younger you are, the usually the healthier you are. And so that's why I say the younger, that's why I say the younger you are, that's easier. It's less expensive. You don't know whether or not a child is going to develop any kind of health risks later on,
Okay.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so they're already grandfathered in. If they're already insured over that time, they're grandfathered in. And
Okay.
so because the you can still get insurance. They have something called guaranteed life insurance. It's
Okay.
very expensive, and it's usually for people who had like heart attacks, strokes, you know, ab- abnormally high blood pressure that they could stroke out at any point in time, you know.
Okay.
And so they'll be insured, but
Okay.
they're going to pay dearly for
Mm.
that privilege. Hmm.
And speaking of which, when you get a life insurance at a young age, can you speak to how perhaps you may have it on them when they're younger? You can actually, correct me if I'm wrong, pass it on to them when they become an adult.
Yeah.
Is there
So
a way to?
if they have their own policy,
Okay.
yeah, then they can begin to take over and pay for their own when they become an adult.
So we're talking about another type of whole life policy to get on them when they're young and they can
Right.
take it over when they're an adult.
When they're an adult. And that's okay, because the good thing about that then is that the cash value and thing that's in there becomes theirs, you know.
Right.
Also, also different type of we'll just leave that right, because we could go into a whole different deal right now.
Could
Call
you?
me if you need it, or
Right.
yeah, or
But it
or go
sounds
on
like
my website and send me an email, and I'll be happy to talk to you all about it. It's not a
oh,
problem.
which is wonderful. Thank you for that because that also leads into the next question. What do you see as the mission and vision of Southall Agency? You said call me. So what is your mission and vision of Southall? And I read it, but personally,
So
what do
it's
you
it's
see?
financial literacy. One of the people perish for lack of knowledge. Period. If you don't, and a lot of times people make really bad decisions because they don't know. Oh, gosh, I was watching something. A lot of times I watch like a game show or something, or I'll watch a contest when people are competing. Oh, and I love like Hell's Kitchen, any kind of cooking show, anything like that.
Uh-huh.
It usually because people especially African American people, usually when they lose, it's because they weren't exposed to that particular protein, that particular, so they don't know what goes with what.
Okay.
They're pulling something out of the air,
Mhm.
but other people from other parts of the world have been exposed to it.
Okay. Okay.
So people make our people make really bad decisions because of financial illiteracy. This is not insurance. This is not investment advice. This is a this is a um, this is what I'm going to call an example.
Okay.
Okay, young person loves tennis shoes. They love Air Jordans. They love, you know what? Then instead of buying, instead of paying money $300 for the Air Jordans, how much is Nike stock? It's usually less expensive than that pair of Air Jordans. Now the Nike stock is not only going to grow in value, but it will also pay a dividend. And who knows, after a certain amount of time, that stock may split. So you end up with a 2-for-1 or 3-for-1. But
Right.
people will stand outside of a department store for a depreciating asset of a tennis shoe instead of taking that same amount of money and investing in the company and owning an appreciating asset. and you run home to your children, your little kid thinking, oh, I got my child the newest Nike Air Jordan, when you could have gotten some Nike stock. Now, when the child is 8 and cannot even wear those tennis shoes anymore, but that stock has doubled or tripled in price.
Gotcha.
See what I'm
Right.
saying?
I do.
That is financial illiteracy. And we need to be financially literate, because in America, the person who reads is the person who wins.
All right. All right. That's an empowering statement, everybody. The person who reads is the person who wins. All right. All right. And I have heard the expression, if you want to hide something from a people, you what? You put it in a what?
In the book, which is
So
bad.
I know, but I was just bringing it up because you made me think about that or what have
It's,
you.
I
And
mean, yeah.
yeah, and thank you for that piece that you just shared with us. I know it's not part of our program what we're talking about today, but that's part of your background as well, and that's an added bonus of people obtaining knowledge for you. You have also a financial piece background to you. You want to share a little bit about that and what you've
Yes,
been doing in the community?
yes, financial peace coordinator. That's a Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University.
Okay.
But yeah, and being a coordinator, I was a coordinator for financial peace at my church,
Okay.
which was great. And
Okay.
I'll be teaching it again,
Mm-hmm.
because people need to know. And it goes through every part of that. It goes through budgeting. Um, just a thought, since you're talking about, financial literacy and wealth, different types of budgets. A zero-based budget is like one of the best things you can do. Spend all of your money on paper first.
Okay.
Zero it up. This is how much money I bring in every 2 weeks. Okay. This is how much I net. Okay. Number one, before you start paying bills, this is how much I'm putting in my savings. 10%, I always say 80% goes to everybody else. 10%, me personally, 10% to God, 10% to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we start looking at bills.
Mm-hmm.
We start paying the bills, but you spend it on paper first.
Mm. Okay.
That way, you know, people come up. Because I have people like that in my family. I think everybody else does too. Can I borrow? I'm sorry. No, I don't have money for that. That money's already spent.
Already allocated, right?
Already allocated. And it's not allocated to you. Now, you know,
Uh,
some of my young people in my family, when I was younger and they were younger,
mhm.
not adults,
Yeah.
teenagers and preteens, I actually had an allocation for extemporaneous expenses,
Okay.
because I knew that about $30 for this is gonna come up from somebody. Give me five. I need 10. Whatever. So that was even part of the budget, but it was zeroed out. I'm sorry. And when it went over, I'm sorry. There's no money allocated for you for that. And if you pay yourself first,
Uh-huh.
all right. If you pay yourself first, then you will be able to save. What normally happens is, if you don't pay yourself first,
Mhm.
life happens and you won't be able to save.
Mhm.
Everybody keeps saying, yes, you need an emergency fund. They say 3 to 6 months. And I'm going to say, in the US economy at the moment, you need a year.
Mhm.
You need a year. You need a year of your take home salary in a place, not in a place where you can, like, cash management account, something like that, in a place where you can go to get it and use it. Okay.
Right,
Until
right.
you get your year, up, at least have $1,000 put away, because most unforeseen expenses, $1,000 will take care of it,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
you know, and that won't push you off of your other savings and invest. That way you won't have to go into your 401k. You won't have to go into your other investments for that. So,
Okay.
but at least have $1,000 that you can get to,
Mhm.
in a savings account. I know they don't pay any interest unless it's Apple at the moment. But I don't, but you need that. And then once you use it, you needed those tires or whatever, then build that $1,000 back up and keep it there until you can at least get your 3 months and then your 6 months. But then if you have a year, then you can really kind of breathe because you don't know what happens. This is America. And this is after the pandemic when they just shut stuff down. I had never seen, anything like that before. I don't think it ever happened in our country before. Not in our lifetimes, at least, where they
Mhm.
just, you couldn't move, you couldn't go, you couldn't, you know, and people who had money, it was rough, but they were able to write it out.
Gotcha. Understood. Understood. I thank you for sharing your insights about that, which leads me to the next question. Do you offer consults in insurance matters? You talked about financial. Do you offer both? Do you offer consults in insurance and financial matters?
I offer consults and insurance matters, and then we can talk to you about, I can show you how to do a zero-based budget, and we can get into some education that way. There's certain things that I can talk to you about. There's certain annuities and things that can happen too, and that we can talk to. Yeah. So, if you want to get in touch with me, go to the southallagency.com, and um, let me see if I can share it. Let's see. Can you see? I got all these pop-ups. Hold on. Can you see it?
It says Symmetry Financial Group. Yes, I
Yeah,
see that.
Century
Yes.
Financial Group. That's the people that I work for. That's
Okay.
that, that's my big thing. But yeah, and it's Valerie Southhall, and it's the southallagency.com will bring you
Okay.
to my website. We can talk about mortgage protection, life insurance, debt-free life, show you how to
Okay.
get out of debt,
Okay.
disability, critical illness, retirement,
Okay.
smart for the kids, final expenses, all of that.
Okay.
These are
Okay.
all the things that I deal with.
Awesome. Okay. All right. You get a lot of bang for your buck. You get the insurance piece, you get the financial piece to it to help with your overall well-being. And that's what this channel is about, sharing information to help with our overall well-being and quality of life. And having insurance can mean a quality of life for you that you didn't even know that you needed in the
Right.
event that something happens, right? So thank you for that. So that you answered my next question. How can the people contact you? So you saw the information she provided, and I also leave the information in the description. And so as we wrap up, is there anything else that you would like to add or an ending message for our community?
Yes. Take the time to educate yourself and then educate your children.
Okay.
Um, because if you don't, you will be taken advantage of.
Mm,
Like I said before, most people spend more time planning for vacation than they do planning for their financial health.
mm,
Your financial health is more important than your vacation. And then take maybe an hour or two a year to
mm.
take back out because your life changes from year to year.
Okay, right,
And
okay.
so, do we have everything together? Is my will here? Is my will together? Where are my papers? If something happens to me tomorrow and I'm not able to speak, if I get into a car accident and I'm in a coma and my loved ones need to get a hold of information,
Mm-hmm.
where is it located?
Mm.
All those things need to be written down. Have it in a place that in one place, or even say there's a natural disaster and we have to evacuate,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't run around half an hour trying to find everything. This needs to be in a place where you can grab it and go. My father used to say, prior proper planning prevents poor performance. There's another P in there, but I won't say it. But prior proper planning prevents poor performance.
Uh-huh.
If you plan properly, you will be able to survive and be able to not only survive for yourself, but for your future generations. We have got to start thinking in generational terms. They say the Chinese people think in 100-year increments. So they may have a generation that might take an L because they know the generation after them, if they take this L, take this loss and sacrifice now, that the generation after them will be in a better position to thrive.
Absolutely.
We need to
Absolutely.
start thinking that way.
And there's a saying that goes along with that. It's not coming about the shade of the tree. You know which one I'm talking about? What's that saying?
Yes, it's on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page.
Okay, what is it?
Wise men plant seeds for trees under whose shade they know they will never sit.
Wow, powerful statement. And a selfless statement, you know, to think about the next generations and not necessarily yourself, and securing and making sure that they don't have any financial burdens if you're no longer here. If
Hmm.
you're related to them in that way, that it would make an impact, you know?
Hmm.
For sure. What a beautiful way to end this segment. I thank you, Valerie, for being on and sharing with our audience about insurance and your insights about it. And again, audience, if you want to contact Valerie, I'll have her information in the description. It has been an absolute pleasure learning and growing. As I say on this channel, let us continue to learn, grow, share together naturally. Okay. And that's what we're all about here. So again, I thank you, Valerie. And until next time, just it's a pleasure to serve you with this wonderful information that we have today. And until next time, bye bye now.
Bye.
Bye, Valerie. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, beloveds, for watching. If you've subscribed to my channel or liked this video or shared it with anyone you think may be interested, I am truly thankful for you. And don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a video. Again, I thank you. God bless you, and I love you.